Hi there. This is the file acquisition training video number 1 titled Research. This is the very first step in the file acquisition process and therefore the very first step in E4's production line. This is a very important step. If you're watching this, you're probably a new file acquisition editor, so I'm going to go through some of the basic steps. If you're a more experienced file acquisition editor, you won't need to go through these, though some of these links may be very helpful in your further research. Alright, there are 4 basic steps in research. They're all very important. If we follow these steps, we should come out with a very, very nice set at the end of it, and with all of the information necessary to pass that set on to the next step in the process. Step 1 is a conference call with the other file acquisition editors. This is where you receive your assignment, but this particular meeting is for much more than just receiving your assignment. It's a brainstorm meeting, so your supervisor will either email you or call you and tell you that this meeting is going to take place, and what you're going to do is you're going to just jot down some ideas before the meeting of some different sets, some different things that you would like to see in an E4 set. You can go onto www.freebiblesoftware.com and you can see what's already available. That's a good thing to do before your first conference call with the other FA editors. And just get yourself some ideas, some things that E4 maybe doesn't carry that you have been wanting to see on the market. If you don't have a lot of ideas the first time, that's fine. Just try to get something so that you can actually you can contribute to the meeting. These meetings will carry on throughout your whole time as a file acquisition editor. So there's a conference call usually about once a month with the file acquisition editors. In that conference call, you brainstorm about possible sets, and then the supervisor will normally choose the sets that she likes the best out of the brainstorm ideas, and she will then assign them to the different editors. You'll receive an assignment at that point. If you're a new file acquisition editor, you'll probably receive the easiest assignment, something that's either a variety set that pretty much includes anything that you want it to, or a set with a single author that's a little bit more well-known author that you would be able to easily research and acquire things. Once you have received your assignment, make sure to write it down, of course, but you can go on to the next step. Step 2 is go to the library. It's very easy. Just find your local library and go and look up in their system the author or subject around which you're basing your set. Let's say this is the works of St. Augustine. Just for the sake of example, you would go to the library and you would look up Augustine. Now, right now, you're going to come up with a lot of stuff that is not in public domain, which means we couldn't actually use it, as in couldn't republish it. And yet, you need to know as much as possible about the author and his works. So right now, this particular library step, going to the library, the physical library, is simply getting a background in your mind. Take a paper pad with you and just write down what you find. Write down things about the author. Write down if you find something that that mentions a famous work of his or hers, I suppose, and write that down, because you're going to need that a little bit later. Any information that you can gather is a good thing. I would spend, this particular portion is going to be altogether probably 3 to 5 hours all told. Some people have, you can find personal libraries and things like that. So this is the second step in the process, actually researching at the physical library. After that, you have a basic idea in your mind. So step 3 is to go to these sites to start seeing what is available on the web. Now, one of the very important things is to take note, especially if you are doing a complete works set. A complete works set must be, if we call it complete works, it must be the complete works of that author. In other words, we must have all of the works for that author. Sometimes that's hard to determine, especially very prolific authors. You don't know what they've written. So make sure to take note of that in the library, if that's possible, but also these sites will be very, very helpful. You can, with this particular document that I'm sending you, you can do Control-click and it will take you to the website. and then you can just type in the author's name, and it will bring up a great deal of information. As you do this, I would notate in it, especially if you come up with information that you feel you're going to use later, I would notate where you got the information just in case. You don't, you want to always be sure that you can go back to it if you need to. You can do that in just a document or something like that. Google Books, worldcat.org, online books page, these will all tell you what is available. Okay? Now, some of what you're going to find is not going to be public domain, which means we're not going to be able to use it. So that also needs to be notated. But right now you're just gathering facts, you're gathering books that we could possibly use, and you're notating down a ton of information that you can use later. Alright, actually, this is important, do this as you research, not after. Okay? Enter the author and book research into this spreadsheet. So what I would do is, obviously you can't do that while you're at the library unless you have a very small computer you can just kind of lug around with you. But what I would like you to do is, when you get to this step, step 3, do Control click, open this spreadsheet, and notate research information in this spreadsheet. This will be incredibly important as you go on with the set. Let's just go through it very briefly. The author that you're dealing with in a variety set, and in other words a set that has more than one author, you're going to need to note the author for each book. In a single author set, you'll just note the author at the top and you can stop doing it after that. The title of the book, make sure to make it as complete as possible because sometimes that can cause confusion later on. The type. Is this just an old article, or is this a full book, or is this a very small sermon? What exactly are we looking at? Number of pages and volumes, especially when you do something like if you were working with Augustine. He was a very prolific writer, tons and tons of books, and so it's important to note how many volumes each book is, because you don't want to just get the first volume and then call it the complete works. That doesn't work at all. So make sure that you kind of note the number of pages and volumes, especially in the longer books, so that we know that we're getting the whole thing. The source link is the link where you actually got this information. If you want to download a book that you find, what you have to do is you have to put the source link here. This is important because we need to be able to go back and find it again. After that, we have file format. This is, okay, you found a book that you really like that's not in public domain as far as you can tell. Everything's good. So what file format is it? Is this PDF? Is this .html? What exactly is that? And there will be a later video showing you exactly how to find each format. File format notes. Is this a strong copy? Is it a big mess? Is it kind of nasty where it's hard to read and stuff like that? Again, this file format video will tell you more how to recognize good tagging, good copies, all of that kind of stuff. Are there foreign languages in it? Greek and Hebrew specifically, Latin. If there's quite a bit of any of those languages, make sure to note it because that will have to be addressed later in different steps. Is there a copyright claim? Is this something that was published last year? Because if it is, we can't use it obviously. But if it was an old book that has just been posted on the web, then oftentimes we can use it. There's going to also be another video about how to recognize and record copyright claims. Is there evidence of lots of editing? Has somebody formatted it and made it pretty? In a website like Google Books, you're not going to have a lot of formatting, but in other websites they will have edited quite a bit, and we need to make sure that editing is not copyrighted. And then you do an errors per page, per 2 pages, kind of scanning proofread. If you find a document that you really like and you say, okay, this one has 1 error per page, it's a very strong copy, those sorts of things. Pros and cons. Does this look like a good copy? Is this something that you want in your set? Is this something that you think would be helpful for our customers? And then any editorial notes, things that concern you, anything like that. Alright, so let's go briefly back over those 4 steps. Step 1, conference call with the FA editors. This is where you receive your assignment. Step 2, go to the physical library, 3 to 5 hours of research there. After that, go to these sites, see if you can find the works that you have found in your library research, and some of them you may even find uncopyrighted posted on the web. Take note of that and the places where they are. And then enter the author and book research into this spreadsheet.